Just how stupid is Donald Trump's lawsuit against Facebook? Pretty stupid. Let's talk about it in today's video. I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. If you share my concerns, then maybe you could like this video and subscribe to this channel, and maybe even click that little bell that will notify you when I post something new. So Donald Trump has filed a class action lawsuit against Facebook, Google, Twitter, and other internet giants, claiming that they violated his First Amendment free speech rights by deplatforming him. While there are so many things wrong with this lawsuit, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, for one thing, how is deplatforming Donald Trump a class action? A class action means that more than 1 million people have been affected by this action. While supposedly 1 million people were deplatformed when Donald Trump was deplatformed, I don't really see that. Of course, Donald Trump does think he's worth 1 million people, so there is that. But this lawsuit is fundamentally flawed based upon its entire argument. I mean, let's just take a quick look at the First Amendment here to see what it actually says. While the first 5 words of the First Amendment are, Congress shall make no law. So basically, the First Amendment says that Congress can't make a law regarding somehow restricting speech. Now, this lawsuit does not claim that Congress has passed a law that somehow deplatformed Donald Trump, so there is that. But then, the 14th Amendment to the Constitution made all the other provisions of the Constitution also apply to the states. So, not just Congress can make no law, but state legislatures can make no law restricting freedom of speech. So, you've got the state legislatures can't make a law, Congress can't make a law. However, nobody claims that either deplatformed Donald Trump from Facebook. Who deplatformed Donald Trump from Facebook? Well, that would be Facebook, a private corporation who's not part of the government at all, and so isn't affected by these restrictions. You have to remember what a right is. A right is specifically a restriction on government action. So what the First Amendment says is that government can't step in and tell you what you can and can't say. It doesn't say, however, that private interests also can't restrict what you say. So Trump's lawyers then make an argument that then because of their power and influence, that these tech giants are essentially state actors. And the legal argument supporting this claim is that there is a law frequently referred to as Section 230, which is a section of the Communications Decency Act of 1996. And what that law does is it makes it so that internet providers cannot be sued for the content that people put on their platforms. The intention of this law was to create essentially a safe space on the internet where people could discuss things and that the providers wouldn't be forced to kind of censor what different people are saying because of the fact that they themselves were afraid of being sued. So Trump's lawyers claims that this section of the law then is unconstitutional because it essentially makes these private companies into state actors who are then able to restrict the speech of private actors. If this sounds convoluted to you, don't feel frustrated. It is convoluted. Point being that there's no basis in law or reality for this claim. Facebook and Twitter are private companies who simply have this protection under the law. Then what's interesting is Donald Trump's take another legal flip when they claim that Democrats coerced Facebook into deplatforming Donald Trump by threatening to revoke this section of the Communications Decency Act. Now, this argument is especially rich because of the fact that Donald Trump repeatedly threatened to revoke this section of the law. So how is it coercing Facebook to deplatform him when Democrats do it, and yet it's not relevant in terms of deplatforming Donald Trump when Donald Trump threatens them? In addition to the fact that many Republicans have also said that that exemption needs to be looked at. But let's not let the facts get in the way of a good argument here for the lawyers. Finally, to make the lawsuit even more absurd, is Trump is claiming that Facebook is essentially a state actor controlled by the federal government. But while it was allegedly controlled by the federal government, Donald Trump was the head of the federal government. So how is that even possible? Well, if this lawsuit sounds ridiculous to you, I think it sounds ridiculous to just about any lawyer who's taken a look at it. And I would argue that this lawsuit deserves more than simply being dismissed on its face but it deserves something that are called Rule 11 sanctions. And what Rule 11 does is it allows the court to impose sanctions, basically fines, on a party for filing a frivolous lawsuit without basis. And if ever there were a frivolous lawsuit without legal basis, this is it. Now, if that's all true, you might ask yourself, why is Donald Trump engaging in this? Well, I'll tell you, it's another PR maneuver by Donald Trump aimed at raising money. And in fact, Trump and the Republicans wasted no time to get on their fundraising bandwagon after this lawsuit was filed. I mean, after all, it's an article of faith among conservatives that somehow they're being silenced by a cabal of elitists who are trying to stop them from speaking what they want. But isn't it funny that when you look at the list of the 10 most active pages on Facebook at any given time, almost all of them are right-wing conservative. And as always, I will post links to the proof of this information that I'm providing down below. So imagine that. This lawsuit is another case of a political maneuver aimed at raising money for Donald Trump based upon lies. And while on the one hand, I certainly hope that the court takes it seriously and dismisses this case and fines the lawyers and Donald Trump appropriately for filing such a frivolous lawsuit, fining them at least as much money as Donald Trump is going to raise from this lawsuit. But on the other hand, I wonder if maybe some of the defendants might say, you know what, we're not going to file a motion to dismiss. Instead, we're going to let this case go forward. And in the process, what we're going to do is engage in discovery. Now, what discovery is going to allow us to do is going to allow us to drag Donald Trump into court and for us to depose him and ask him questions under oath, probably videotaped as well. We're going to get access to all kinds of private documents of his because of the fact that that's what you get to do when you're engaged in litigation. Donald Trump, after all, did file this lawsuit in his personal capacity, so the lawyers for the defense will be able to drag him personally, into court to ask him questions. This is no small issue. I mean, after all, it's in a deposition like this where the plaintiffs against Bill Cosby were able to get him to admit to the fact that he was drugging and raping people across the country. Just imagine some of the tidbits that the defense attorneys for Facebook and Twitter will be able to get when they question Donald Trump. And now that this lawsuit's filed, there's not a thing Donald Trump will be able to do about it. Let's watch closely as this lawsuit proceeds, and it'll be kind of fun to see if it ends up exploding in Donald Trump's face, just as it really should. So if you agree with me or disagree with me, I'd love to see your comments down below. And if you could like this video and subscribe to this channel, that'd be a huge help. I'll see you in the next video, and in the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.